Perfect. First things first, I'm not sure if I really even know how to be funny. I'm probably not qualified to talk about this subject, but I don't care. Hasn't stopped me before, and it won't stop me now. I'm making this video so that maybe I have a better idea of how to be funny. I want to write novels that aren't boring, novels that don't put people to sleep, and I think doing a video essay is probably going to help me figure out what I think. If you don't like it, if you think the things I say are dumb or cringe or wrong or just downright, I don't know, disgusting, I ask that you please share this video on Facebook or Twitter. Please tell everyone you know just how much you dislike this video. Copy the link, post it to your social media accounts of choice, preferably the ones you have the highest follower counts on, and start whispering your sweet nothings into the void. Do it for me and do it for the boys in the editing room. In the event that you do like this video or get something positive out of it, which that's the goal, I hope you'll smash like, slap sub, say something smart or funny in the comments, and keep us in your prayers. Okay, so jig is up. I'm actually going to do what I can to make this video tolerable. So if I'm going to be tolerable, there's something I have to say right away, which is I don't actually know how to be funny, and I also think you should be skeptical of virtually anyone out there who tries telling you some surefire way to be funny. You ask this question, how to be funny? How can I be funnier? Da da da. There's not really an answer, but this video is gonna just keep going. I think comedy is similar to almost any other art form in existence in that it's difficult, if not impossible, to define. And that's how I think we have to think about being funny as an art form. Even if you aren't trying to do stand-up, being funny is a craft, it's an art form, it's a practicable skill. If you want to know how to be funny, asking the question outright is like saying, how can I tell a great story? Or how can I paint a great painting? Or how can I take a great photograph? So the answer, or the semantic explanation, can't really be communicated with words. It's an art form, like I've already said, which means it takes practice. And depending on what level you want to do it at, it might take more time, it might take less time. To be clear, this video isn't really for people who want to do stand-up comedy. I mean, maybe people who want to be funny on stage can learn something, but I'm talking about being funny in the most general sense, at the conversational level, like person to person. But let's dig into this thing, how to be funny. I'm imagining a viewer who is at this point thinking, they're thinking, Sam, you just told us how to be funny can't be communicated with language because it is an art form. So why is this video still going on? Are you wasting my time? Yeah, and great question. I really appreciate it. Thanks for screaming this at me, voice in my head. It's hard to articulate how to be funny, but basically what I'm going to do is just use some analogies. I'm gonna use some metaphors and we'll see what happens. We'll see if I can make a good point, if I can make no point, if I can make a point that's cringe, who knows? First and foremost, I've got to make a point. Being funny, at least in my opinion, is all about being a great storyteller. And as a quick qualifier, I'll say that I'm telling you the same thing I tell my students at Johns Hopkins University, where I teach 1 or 2 undergraduate writing courses per semester. My class is all about storytelling. Someday I want to write a couple of great novels, and for the last almost 10 years now, I've been reading and writing every day. It's what got me accepted into Johns Hopkins for grad school. It's all very exciting and very prestigious. Okay, so that's all very nice. Being funny is about storytelling. Why do I think that is true? Let's work backwards. For starters, something can't be funny unless it makes sense. And I know that's big. I know that's a huge paradigm shifter. And when I say unless it makes sense, I don't really know what I mean. I'm equating making sense with the listener's or the viewer's ability to formulate or intuit a meaningful interpretation. And something can't make sense unless the details are contextualized, which is to say somehow causally linked to one another. And to put things more simply, I think a collection of contextualized and causally connected details is a story. And this is how being funny is all about telling a story. So that's hopefully the last time I'll have to do some serious mental gymnastics in this video. Basically, if there's one thing you take away from what I said, it's that it's going to be extremely difficult to be funny or to become funnier if you can't tell a story. But you're in luck, and so am I, because most people can tell a story. Which isn't to say that everybody can tell good stories, only that everybody can kind of tell a story. But we want to tell good stories. That's what we want to do. And I think almost everyone should want to be funny. Almost everyone should want to be a good storyteller, at least as good of a storyteller as they can be. In some other videos, I've called comedy social lubricant. People say alcohol is social lubricant, and I think that's true. But so is being funny. I would go as far as to say that generally speaking, at least some of the time, and by some of the time I mean every once in a while, alcohol makes many people funnier. And this proves my claim that being funny is perhaps the most fundamental social lubricant. They call alcohol social lubricant. Why is it a social lubricant? Loosens people up, makes people funnier. But like I've also said in other videos, the benefit of trying to draw your social lubricant from being funny is better than alcohol because you can't get, say, a DUI because an officer smelled funny on your breath. But at the same time, it would be naive to think that being funny is only good, because it's not. It can lube things up, or it can be a wrench thrown into the mouth of the great machine of your life. But negative things, downsides, are sometimes easily identifiable. And in this case, I'm talking about something, a critique that is easily identifiable. So I've identified a negative thing, and now I am moving on, and so should you. So social lubricant, I'm actually not moving on. I'm returning to where I was. Why do I think it's good? Why do I think it's desirable? When used correctly, I think social lubricants do exactly what their names suggest. They make socializing easier. And that's good for most people. Why is it good for most people? It's good for most people because humans are social creatures. We want conversations and interactions with other people to go well, and comedy is a tool we can keep in our back pocket. It's something we can rely on to help us jump through hoops. And there is no shortage of hoops. So, make use of the tools you got. And maybe you're wondering, but how to be funny? What's the deal? This whole video, all the time it's taken to reach this point and know how to be funnier. Maybe you're thinking something like this. I know I am. So let's cover the how to be funny. When someone asks the question, how can I be funnier? What they're really asking is, how can I make music? So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm trying to use an analogy because, again, the insufficiency of language and semantic explanation, this, that, and the third, whatever. Totally cool, not worried. I can't tell you how to be funny. I can't tell you, oh, yeah, say this to elevate the vibe at your great aunt's wake. Or say this to make the girl that you're interested in dating smile. And the reason I can't do that is because I can't tell you how to make music within the parameters or according to the constraints of a specific situation that you might find yourself in. I can't tell you how to sing by speaking either. Like any craft, like any skill, the first step to proficiency is being less than proficient at best and terrible at worst. A wise man once said the first step toward greatness is sucking. Not all that encouraging, but too deep to turn back now. But there's value in thinking about being funny as a skill we're in control of. Some people are born with a sense of humor. They're naturally talented, but I think a big part of being funny is telling the truth. When I was doing my undergrad, a professor called comedy the highest art form because the response it draws from its audience is laughter. And he called laughter a subconscious recognition of truth. So I'm sharing that because I think it's cool. Also, it kind of illuminates my point, I guess. But really, my point is this: if you want to be funnier, find your voice, find the way that you're funny. If you were going to be a painter, what would your style look like? It'd probably be an amalgamation of like a dozen different styles. And the same can be said about any art form. The best way to learn is to practice and to study. So I say, find some comedians you like, comedians who tell different stories in different ways, and fill your head with their words. What I'm talking about is like a different iteration of my experience with short story writing and novel writing. I've been in the soup studying for years now. I've studied craft elements, which is kind of whatever. But what's helped me most, more than like the terminology that people use to talk about writing, what's helped me more than studying different craft elements is filling my head with the voices of the writers I like. For me, it's Joyce, it's Dostoevsky, it's Saunders, Williams, Proust, Hemingway, Melville, Marquez. So here's what you should remember. Information is meta food. Information is a kind of food. It's why we consume information. It doesn't give us calories, but it gives us other stuff when we consume it. What comes in goes out in some weird way, the same way we get energy from food and we feel healthier. It comes out. Art is about style, about voice. So if you want to be funny, start finding some comedians you can stand listening to for a couple of minutes at a time. Passively and actively listen to them as you're going about your day. Humans are social creatures. We imitate the people whose voices we spend a significant amount of time with. It doesn't matter if it's a novelist or a mentor or a love interest. Humans are social creatures. We imitate. So what I'm saying in closing is this: if you want to be funnier, find comedians whose takes and whose voices you like and blast their content into your unfunny skull. I'm talking specials, TV shows, podcasts, interviews, best of compilations, the whole 9 yards. This content is free, usually on YouTube. It's readily accessible, and all you gotta do is move your thumbs around the keyboard and it's there in front of you. So no excuse not to make yourself funnier. Making yourself funnier is going to require effort, but it's a skill. It's a social skill, it's a life skill, and a skill is something we can kind of control. So start eating your meta food, put some meat on those bones, and if you want suggestions, say Sam, suggestions in the comments. Again, I wish I could give you a straightforward answer, like all you have to do is add 1 plus 2 and that'll 3, and then you're funny. I wish it could be that, but it's not that simple. Really, being funny is about making music out of language, out of the circumstances around you. And that requires a careful eye. It requires a watchful eye. It requires like you really being able to focus on what's happening and quickly process information. I don't want to make it sound too lofty, but it's a social skill and it can help you in the real world. And that's what I want. I'm not sure who I'm talking to. I hope I'm not talking to some crazy person who would like use their ability to be funny to, I don't know, do something bad. Ideally, I'm talking to a sane and stable person who wants to use their comedic energy for good. And I think what that looks like when we try to use it for good is just something that's self-benefiting. It's like it makes social situations easier, whether we're talking to a love interest or a boss or in a professional environment, an academic environment, or a social environment. It's like comedy as a social lubricant is going to help you make friends. It's going to help you influence people. And you know, these are very important things, or so I've been told. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up. So I'm done now. But before I go, let me just say my thank yous. I want to thank my best friends and video editors, Bach and Joe. Thank you guys so much for your help editing these videos. And thank you, my wonderful life-affirming viewer. It means a lot, and I really appreciate your attention to this channel. And now I'll say that if you enjoyed this video or found it interesting or helpful or useful, whatever the right positive word is, please smash like, please slap sub, and leave a comment. Anyways, thanks again, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.